I'm going to get started this morning. I would like to go over with you, and I'd like to see, before I get started, a show of hands of how many of you in here are currently working with supplements in your practice. Good. Excellent. So how many are not working with any supplements in their practice? Okay. For those of you that raised your hand that are selling that are working with supplements, how many of you sell supplements in your practice? Okay. And then there are others who probably sell the supplements through an online store or something like that. Is that right? Okay. Good. The purpose of what I'm going to do today is to help you and to show you how the whole, not only the supplement business, but the entire business of other testing, other diagnostic testing, can become a very, very valuable asset and piece to your practice. I've been doing this. I've been in clinical practice. I'm an internist. I've been doing this for 26 years. I started from the beginning doing integrative medicine. This is not something I picked up a year or two ago. And as I said, from the beginning, 26 years ago, I shouldn't say that, it's probably been about 25 or 24 years, I started working with and selling supplements as part of my whole practice. And the way it evolved was very interesting, and I don't want to get into that story, but if any of you really want to know, come by and talk to me and we'll discuss that. But the bottom line is, 20 years ago, our business model was very different. We know that the changes that are coming, and I don't think any of us really know what those changes are going to be. Nonetheless, there are going to be some changes, are going to need to change what we do and how we practice. Myself, I still take Medicare, Blue Cross, and probably 3 or 4 other insurances. But I do that for a reason. The reason I do that is because I don't care about the $70 or $75 that I get for an office visit. That's not where my business really flourishes. My business flourishes because those people that do come in, every one of them buys supplements, which is a recurrent revenue every month, and I don't need to see them in month 2. All right? So I've really thought about this, and what I'm going to evolve into next year is I'm going to start seeing I've got a patient base of some very, very, very wealthy people. And in fact, I just flew in here from Fort Lauderdale, where I spoke at a CEO meeting, and it was a who's who of CEOs from all over the world. So a lot of those people don't want to come in and sit in a waiting room. So for those people, I'm going to evolve into a different model that I'm going to start next year, that I've been developing. All right, so there's all different ways to do this, and I think what works for you has got to be what you're comfortable with. What works for me is not going to work for you, and what works for you may not work for me. But the key is to do what you are comfortable doing. If you're not comfortable doing hormones, don't do hormones. If you're not comfortable doing supplements, don't do supplements. Or start slowly. And that's what I'm going to talk with you a little bit about today, on how to get that whole thing going. So what are the options and how do we do this? You could sell directly out of your practice. You could have a retail store. I, by the way, have a retail store due to the legal concerns in the state of New Jersey. All right, so there are some issues depending on the state you're in. New Jersey is really the only stupid state that doesn't allow things like that to happen, and it really is true. Because I'm also applying, I spend a lot of time in Florida, I'm applying for a license in Florida that I can start seeing patients down there. Most of my patients go down to Florida in the winter anyway. They're all snowbirds. So, but due to reasons beyond my control, I had to open a retail store 20 years ago. And it's, if I told you the numbers, you would probably fall over. It's amazing what can be generated. You can have patients order product via the via a doctor portal on the internet, which is a very nice way to do it. You don't need to carry inventory. All right? You don't need to have any kind of an inventory. You give them a website, you give them a number, we put in your access code, and you sell directly, and you guys get a commission check. It's that simple. And there are a lot of companies that do that, and it's a very successful model. And that's pretty much what I'm talking about here. All right? Because a lot of you don't want to be bothered with inventory. That being said, I am a firm believer in people walking out of the office with something in their hand. I think that's very powerful. When you walk out and you have a bottle, even if it's a month, in your hand, month 2 and 3 will ship to you. Or if you want to get all 3 months now, fine. And the way we package stuff, and the way I have always designed packaging, is a 1-month supply. That way it just becomes easy. It becomes easy to tell the patient what to do. 1 bottle is 1 month. You don't have to worry about it. You need 3 months, you get 3 bottles. Catalog sales. I work with one of the largest catalog manufacturer that sends catalogs out in the world. And there's a big part of our business that happens through the catalog. But that is a very, very specialized field that I wouldn't, unless you really have something different to sell. Catalog sales are very competitive. The company I work with mails out, this is no exaggeration, they mail out close to 750 million pieces of mail a year. And I think that number actually may even be maybe a little underestimated. It's a huge, huge undertaking. Return, probably about 2%, 1 to 2%. It's not a very big return, but those are very loyal customers. So there are all different ways. There are many different ways, and there are many different options on how to get product out. And what works for you is what we will talk about, and what you want to do is the way we go. So why do it? I mean, the obvious reason is what? Is revenue. Obviously. I mean, that is just the most obvious. It's revenue. But also, it's a value add to your practice. Believe me, and again, for those of you that want to talk with me alone, I can tell you real numbers. And I'm going to show you some very achievable numbers. Because we all have patient base, right? Most of us have a very significant patient base, and they trust us. So we need to give them quality products. And that's the big thing here.